right? Because when you recognize that your true nature is not something that you're achieving at the end of something, it's something you have right now, but it's obscured. It's a different kind of effort that produces. About this analogy that our nature is like a cup of muddy water. And the best way for it to clear is not to try and pound down the sediment, right? We set down the glass and we leave it alone. And the more we can do this, the more it will settle. Guru Rinpoche said that this text is his mind. So when you do this, you're actually getting like the terma in a mind-to-mind transmission. How incredible is that? Just actually reading and being in contact with and having faith in this text connects you directly to the mind of Guru Rinpoche. Everybody to a special episode of the Denver Dzogchen podcast. Today I'm here all by myself, but I'm going to share with you some exciting news that we have from the Denver Dzogchen world. Some of you may have already noticed that I have the Light of Wisdom study group that I've been sharing on our YouTube. This very, very important text from the lineage of Chokgyur Lingpa, we are going through once a week and just getting as far as we get, which with my rambling speech is not very far, but we're trying to go in really deep. And after doing it for a little bit, we realized that we had some people who had interest in it, who weren't part of the group. It was originally just an internal Denver Dzogchen study group. But I decided that there was nothing really, no reason to hold back, and we should just share it with everybody who's part of our online community. So it's now on there, and we're going to be releasing these episodes every week. I record them on Thursday evening, and then they come out shortly after that. And I also have notes and stuff that I send to the group, so that can be made all available to you if you are interested in joining us. So I thought I'd take a little time here to introduce this text to you, explain what we're doing, so that you can be part of this really fun activity that we're doing as Denver Dzogchen Sangha. So what is the text? The text is called Light of Wisdom, and this is volume 1, and there are 4 volumes, maybe 5, depending on how you look at it. It hasn't all been translated into English. Samye just recently released some more translation of it, but still there's portions, I think, that aren't fully translated. I don't plan on doing every volume. I plan on probably going through at least the first 2, maybe the first 3. What they are is as a Lamrim text. If you're not familiar with that word, that's a Tibetan word that means stages of the path. You're probably familiar with the words of My Perfect Teacher by Patrul Rinpoche. That's the most famous example of a Lamrim text. Also, the Jewel Ornament of Liberation by Gampopa. There's several others. I think Stages of the Path is the one by Tsongkhapa. Every lineage has a Lamrim text, and it's so crucial because what it is it's your map. It's your map for the path. It lays out everything from the foundational Hinayana teachings, the 4 thoughts that turn the mind toward the Dharma, Shamatha, Vipassana, up through the Mahayana, into the Bodhisattva vehicle, the 6 paramitas, into the Tantrayana, and the different stages of the Tantrayana into Dzogchen. And the very unique feature of this particular Lamrim text is that it's all coded in the Ati Dzogchen lineage language, right? Because this comes from this highest view. The way that it's presented, the teachings are presented in particular in Nyingma in general, but in Chokling Tersar in particular, is that you're given the highest teaching at the beginning. But then you also blend that with the path as you work your way towards that same highest teaching at the end. So it's both the beginning and the end and the ground. That's the unique feature of this lineage. And so it makes this Lamrim really special because in the other Lamrim texts, the tradition generally, it's moving upwards, right? You just build on the foundational practices and the Mahayana to eventually attain the highest view and Buddhahood, which is a totally credible and amazing way to follow the path. But in this way, the Nyingma school particularly emphasizes you should be pointed to your true nature from the very beginning so that you can take this knowledge and apply it to the path as you go so that there's not so much strain and effort, right? Because when you recognize that your true nature is not something that you're achieving at the end of something, it's something you have right now, but it's obscured. it's a different kind of effort that produces. And in my opinion, it is much more effective and helpful for people, especially in the modern world, who are capable of understanding these high teachings, probably already have access to these high teachings, have received them, or at least read about them. So just putting the teachings in that context, then you understand why you're doing what you're doing, right? Because the accumulation of merit and wisdom on its own, it can just seem kind of like a grind, right? You're just like purifying, and it can kind of feel like, Catholic sometimes, where you're just like, I'm bad and I need to purify and I need to accumulate. And it has this kind of like, I'm not good enough and I need to really work hard in order to earn something. But this view is different. This view says you already have everything, but you don't know that. And even if you know that intellectually, you don't believe that. So here are the methods that will help you align yourself with it. Because that's the problem, right? It's not that we have something inherently wrong with us. It's just we are confused. We believe in something that's not true. We believe in this solid, separate, self-existing identity, and we're so clung to it that we can't manage to function without grasping at it. So the path has these skillful and extraordinary methods for helping us unlock and free ourselves from this delusion, because we're so attached to this delusion that in fact we become terrified when we try to let it go, because it really is how we've oriented ourselves in everything. Chokgyur Rinpoche famously said that, terror is quite close to this ground. That is because the openness is what we're afraid of, right? This lack of ground is what we're so scared of. But the truth is, there is no ground, whether we pretend there is or isn't, right? It doesn't actually change our fundamental condition, but it feels terrifying because this clenched fist that we are, this tension that we've built up over countless lifetimes, makes us feel secure. But it also is strangling us. So as we learn to open and relax, we need some kind of scaffolding. In education, we talk a lot about scaffolding. Scaffolding is supports that help us do something that otherwise we're not able to do. And we need that. We need this. And that's what this text and Lamrim texts do. They give us the scaffolding of the Buddha Dharma so that we can slowly separate ourselves from samsara. Because I don't know anybody who received the highest level teachings and instantly was like, yep, got it. Maybe they said that, but I don't know anybody who actually accomplished it. Everybody goes back to this, right? Because it's the default mode. That's the default network. And so we need to walk the path as it's presented. There's a reason they present these Lamrim texts the way they do in every school of Tibetan Buddhism. We need a path. We need something to follow. But we can also have an understanding that we're not really walking a path in the sense of A to B. The Trungpa also has that book called The Path is the Goal. I think that's really helpful to remember, because there's not we shouldn't be worried about the end, the game at the end, right? That hope and fear, that's working against us on this path continuously. And so that's why having some understanding of the end result and having some direct experience of our true nature at the beginning of the path is so helpful in helping us decode and practice without making the path into another ego identity, right? Which we've all seen and done. It's so easy to do because our ego will hijack everything we do. But I think you'll find if you follow the path as it's laid out, it is so skillfully designed to remove your tension and to help you open to this truth in a way that you're willing to do it, right? We need to put forward some effort, right? First of all, the thing that is so hard about the highest levels of teaching is that we don't believe it. We think there's no way it's that easy. There's no way it's that simple. Buddhahood, we think that there's got to be some amazing thing out there that's not me. And if I was going to get that, then it must take a lot of effort. That belief is so deeply ingrained that the Dharma gives us some efforting, namely the Nundro, right? The 100,000s. This is an excellent method, skillful method. One of its main functions is to burn out the seeking mind. We have this seeking, grasping mind that feels that we have to earn this salvation, right? And so it gives us something to do. And what you'll find is if you do your accumulations, me and most people who do it, there's kind of like now what at the end, right? There's nothing magic that happens. What happens is that you kind of grind down, oh, no matter how hard I push, no matter how hard I work, it doesn't get better or worse. That becomes an insight instead of just intellectual knowledge. And I find that people have to go through this, especially the prostrations, which nobody wants to do, right? Because it sucks. It's hard. But what does it do? It actually produces this result of giving you a feeling that you did something, which is really helpful in your confidence, and also showing you that effort doesn't produce this thing. You're getting clearer and clearer about the fact that this thing that we're trying to get in touch with is part of who we are. And that no matter how much effort you do or how much negative karma you accumulate, you're not changing it. You're changing your experience, and so we don't ever let that go, right? We don't want to live in a nightmare. Nobody does, right? So we accumulate good karma. And I often talk in the study group about this analogy that our nature is like a cup of muddy water. And the best way for it to clear is not to try and pound down the sediment, right? We set down the glass and we leave it alone. And the more we can do this, the more it will settle. But then we also have this, we're engaging in the world, which is shaking the glass regardless, right? We have to pick up the glass and carry it around every time we go to work, every time we deal with our family, everything that we're doing all the time, we're messing with the glass, right? Except for when we're actually sitting in samadhi. So when we're messing with the glass, what we don't want to do is take charcoal dust and chuck it in there. That's what negative actions do, right? Because they muddy the water in a way that is much harder to clear. But when we do positive karma, when we do positive things, it's like throwing pebbles in there. They sink immediately to the bottom, right? They leave behind no residue. That's why we need to orient our lives towards positive karma. We don't believe in this kind of eternalist good and bad, good and evil dualism, right? There's just things that are closer to the truth, right? When we act as though everything is interdependent, which is true, which means we would never harm anything and we would try to help everything because everything is connected, then things go smoothly. When we act on the basis of a very, very strong sense of self, then things are harder, more difficult, more painful, and things reverberate with much stronger feedback because it's more out of alignment with how things are. So we want to push our karmic actions over towards as fine as barley flour, as Guru Rinpoche says, right? Attention to cause and effect. But then we also want to get in touch with this true part of ourselves, get in touch with our true nature. And we're doing this throughout this study. So every Thursday we're going through and I'm just reading and sharing my thoughts and then opening it to questions and comments. And so I hope you'll join us for this and I hope you'll watch and follow along and read the book. The book is widely available. It's a commentary. So let me explain a little bit about what the book is a little more. Chokgyur Lingpa was maybe the most important Terton of all time, right? He existed only a couple hundred years ago, not that long ago. He's a relative of Tokul Ordren Rinpoche. His family line actually comes directly from Chokgyur Lingpa. And Chokgyur Lingpa worked with two other incredible masters to found what today you may know as the Rimé movement, right? So Jamgön Kongtrül the Great, who is the one who wrote the commentary on this terma that Chokgyur Lingpa revealed, is in this text. And then the original Kensei, you may know Dogo Kensei, he was the other of the three of this triad, right? So those three work together to reveal a lot of termas and to bring together all the teachings of all the four schools of Tibetan Buddhism and see them all as important and preserve them. And that's a huge reason we have the teachings still today that we have, that they overcame a lot of sectarian bias that was a big problem at that time. So we have this amazing text, and so Chokgyur Lingpa revealed it. Well, Kensei also revealed it. This is the amazing thing. So he revealed the exact same text. When Chokgyur Lingpa brought it to him, he said, I also revealed this, but I revealed it as a mind terma. And so he said they're the same. He compared them. So he said, let's use yours, Chokgyur Lingpa, because it's an earth terma. That means it was a physical text that he discovered, which people have more faith in than a mind terma, right? Because a mind terma, you think, well, maybe they could be lying. So with an earth terma, people have way more confidence. And people saw Chokgyur Lingpa reveal many earth termas in public in front of people. like reach into stone and pull an object or a text out. He did this several times. He was an amazing terma, truly an embodiment of Guru Rinpoche. And then Jamgön Kongtrül wrote this commentary on it, and it is said that this commentary is so blessed that it's a terma too, right? So that the commentary is a mind terma of Jamgön Kongtrül as he comments on Chokgyur Lingpa's root text. Chokgyur Lingpa's root text is incredibly short. It's like unbelievable how short it is. It's maybe like 50 pages or something like that. And it has in it literally the whole path. And it's when you read it and you follow along in our study group, you'll see how amazing it really is, because the words of Guru Rinpoche are unlike anybody else. This is not, you can read any other spiritual text by any other author, and they're totally different than a terma. A terma, every word can be seen from so many different points of view that the whole teachings like come out of it, right? They talk about Dakini code, right? The way that the terma is actually revealed in the beginning. The treasure revealer reveals this script that no one can read called Dakini script. Only the terma can pull out the text from the Dakini script. Well, even the script that he pulls out can be done like that again, right? And that's what Jamgön Kongtrül does. And then you'll find that when you read it, it happens more. Guru Rinpoche said that this text is his mind. So when you do this, you're actually getting like the terma in a mind-to-mind transmission. How incredible is that? Just actually reading and being in contact with and having faith in this text connects you directly to the mind of Guru Rinpoche. And I've found this to be really true. Studying this text with a group has been such a blessing for me because it's forced me to really engage with it in a deeper way. And it's amazing, incredible. Just the amount of wisdom that flows just straight out of like a simple sentence is unbelievable. There's just so much wisdom packed into it. So I hope this has been intriguing enough for you to engage with this. I hope you'll pick up the text and follow along. And if you have anything, please feel free to reach out. If you have questions, comments, if there was interest, I could probably set up like a WhatsApp group for everybody to be a part of. We have one inside Denver Dzogchen. But if there's enough people outside of the group that wanted to do that, then I could create a public one. Just so let me know. You can put that in the comments and we can figure out a way to do that. So I really enjoy this, and I encourage you to study this. And, you know, we're trying to, as Denver Dzogchen, expand the things that we do to help beings, because, you know, being a Tibetan Buddhist practitioner in modern times is rough, especially a Westerner. We can be so disconnected. You know, the lamas are too famous to really have much help from. We can't get in contact with them, and there's not that much. You know, the Dharma activities are much greater in the East, and there's some here. You know, we're pretty good, but we try to be a support for people, and so we're really trying to put ourselves out there with this. So I hope you follow along. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you'll leave comments and let us know what you think. And if it's successful and people like it, then we'll just keep going. You know, we'll do a couple volumes of Light of Wisdom, and then we'll see where we go from there. So I hope you found this enjoyable, and I hope that it inspires you. Even if you don't want to do the study group, read this text. Just go get it on Amazon or wherever you buy your books, and study it, because it will really transform your path. I really guarantee it. It's amazing. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. If you enjoy our podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back soon with a regular episode, but I thought it was important that we share why I'm dropping all these videos all of a sudden and what they're about. So I hope that gives you a little orientation. We'll see you soon. Thank you very much. See you next time.